pretty from the side. You look pretty from the side, Mother said, reaching over and touching my cheek. She was driving fast in her old red VW Bug with the primer gray fenders and bald tires. We were on the Santa Monica freeway heading east towards the city. It was early evening and we were going to her friend's house for drinks. I know, I said. A pretty face is all I have. What a funny thing to say, she said. Where did you get that idea? I was quiet. I didn't know where I got that idea. But I knew that when I wore makeup, especially deep burgundy lipstick like my mother wore, I was pretty. Other than that, I couldn't really think of anything else I had going for me. She pulled off the freeway. You have more than just a pretty face, she said, turning left onto Fairfax. You're creative. You're very creative. I still didn't answer. Why do you think so badly about yourself, she asked. By this time, we were waiting for the light at Wilshire Boulevard. I still didn't say anything. I didn't know why I thought about myself the way I did. The thoughts were just there. It's not like I chose them. She turned right at Santa Monica Boulevard, heading towards Hollywood. You make it sound as if no one has ever given you any encouragement. I have always complimented you on your imagination. Ever since you were little, I have told you that you were highly creative. The sun had set and the sky was turning from brilliant blue to black. Once we passed Western Avenue, the neighborhood started getting rough. I lit up a clove and rolled my window down. After taking the first drag, I passed it over to my mother. The first hit always gave me a nice buzz. Who is it that you imagine looks down on you, she asked, handing me back my clove. Who gave you this idea that all you have is a pretty face? She was getting really angry now, so I thought I should probably let up a bit with the silence. I don't know, it's just a feeling I get. Who? Who is it that you're talking about when you say that? I don't know, I said. Teachers, middle-class people, and sometimes the aunts. Your aunts don't look down on you. Why do you think they look down on you? It's just a feeling, that's all. It's no big deal. We pulled off of Santa Monica Boulevard just before hitting Vermont. Then Mother slowed down and started looking for parking. You have always been so hard on me. You are never hard on your dad the way you are on me. His mother and his family have never done squat for you. But you give my sisters and me all the shit. You have always hated me, always. She slowed down to a stop and began backing into a spot, grinding the gears as she shifted into reverse. You direct all of your anger towards me. You are so full of anger. You really need to get some help. You really do. I sure hope she sticks to wine tonight, I thought, as I slowly rolled up my window. Around and around. She was taking the corners fast now. Oh, come on, my brother pleaded from the back seat. Can't we just go home? But she ignored him and continued speeding down Marine Street. She made a hard left at the corner, then headed into the alleyway and drove on. You just think I'm drunk, she yelled. She took another hard left and another, and then put us back on Marine Street once again, where she sped right past our apartment building. You two are always on my case, she said. I don't know why I put up with it. I should just get my own place and leave you with your crazy dad. She went around the corner again and went as far as Ozone Park this time before making another sharp left. I am not drunk, she yelled, revving her engine into the turn. I didn't say you were, my brother said. I just want to go home. Can't you understand that? We just want to go home. I was scared. I could tell Mother wasn't totally shit-faced, but she was definitely tipsy. Tipsy and pissed off. She seemed perfectly fine on the freeway coming back from Hollywood. She got off at the Lincoln Boulevard exit and began heading towards Venice. But after we passed the military supply shop, I sensed her mood begin to shift. By the time we turned right at the Kentucky Fried Chicken, her horns were out. There's a parking spot right over there, my brother said, pointing to an open space in front of our building. But she acted like she didn't hear him and kept driving. That's when she started yelling. I'm not drunk! Finally, after driving in circles for 10 minutes, she pulled over and parked. My brother and I got out of the car and walked towards our front gate in silence. When we got inside the apartment, We immediately went to bed, and the incident was never mentioned again. Upside down, backwards, and inside out. We must have been out together that night, but I don't remember what club we were at or which band was playing. All I know is that she left before I did, and when I got back to her apartment later that night, I opened the door and my brother's friend, Abe, a local biker punk in his mid-20s, was looking up at me from under the covers of her bed. Her apartment was a studio, so her bed wasn't far from the door. I quickly went back outside and waited. A minute later, my mother called out for me to come in. When I did, Abe was buttoning up his flannel shirt, and my mother was in the bathroom with the water running. Needless to say, I felt awkward. So I went into the kitchen and began cutting up a watermelon we had bought earlier that day. I loved having watermelon at night in the summer. When I was done slicing, I brought a plateful out to the table and began eating. Abe had finished with his shirt by this time and was now busy tying up the laces on his boots. Want some? I asked. It's delicious. That's okay. I should probably head out, he said, not looking up. Then my mother returned. She sat down at the table, picked up a watermelon slice, and began munching away. Abe grabbed his leather jacket and said goodbye. After he left, my mother and I both spit a mouthful of seeds out the open window and burst into laughter. Versailles. We were at the Cuban Restaurant, Versailles, and I was hungry. But instead of ordering something, I sat smoking cigarettes and watching my mother and her friend Fertile eat dinner. They were each having roast chicken, steamed rice, black beans, and fried bananas with cream. I'm hungry, Mommy, I thought, but didn't dare say. Instead, I smoked and watched them eat since I had no money. I ran out of cash earlier that day, probably having spent quite a bit on her, buying us smokes and beer at the beach. Now I was being punished. It's not my problem. Ask your father for help, her eyes said. She was glaring at me over the table as she cut into a chicken thigh. But I'm hungry, Mommy, I thought. Did Fertile know that I had no money? I wondered. Did he know that was the reason I had ordered only water and was sitting there smoking instead of eating? I'm hungry, Mommy, I kept thinking. Your father ruined my life, Mother's eyes replied. I am hungry. I am eating a cigarette in front of you, Mommy. I am getting smaller in front of you, Mommy. Bits of cream and banana are falling from your lips, Mommy. I am hungry. I am hungry. Never mind, don't worry about me. I'll just sit here and smoke and starve. Be my guest, Mother's eyes replied. Your father ruined my life.